Dear friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's read. Today, from the timeless collection of Kamala Das, let's read Equity Shares. Let's begin with the story. When the middle-aged lady arrived in her maroon ambassador, Velayuddin was helping his 80-year-old mother feed the cows. He was so surprised to see a visitor that he nearly dropped the pail half filled with gruel enriched with OK cattle feed. His mother ignored the guest for a minute or two. Then she nodded towards the car and said, "I did get your letter, but I wanted to give you my answer personally. That is why I did not write to you." The visitor smiled. Velayuddin enjoyed the warmth of her smile. He had not seen such a friendly smile for years. His mother had stopped smiling after the death of his younger brother 23 years ago. When they brought the crushed bits home, tied up in a bundle, his mother screamed as though she had been seized by the devil. "Please don't open the bundle, please," she had cried. "I don't want to see his remains." The visitor followed his mother into the large sitting room. Velayuddin opened the windows to let the air in. The place was dusty. The shapeless cushions had split here and there, and the silk cotton was in the air. He sneezed once. "Please sit down," said the mother. "We live here, Velayuddin and I. The maid servant has left early today. I apologize for the disorder in the room. We seldom open this room now that we are alone in the world. When Velayuddin's father was alive, he used to receive his visitors here every evening. Visitors came even from far off places like Travancore and Cochin." Velayuddin hitched up his dhoti. All of a sudden, he felt ashamed of his not so clean clothes. The lady, however, did not seem to be noticing them. She looked at the stacks of books and the old dinner set in the cupboard. "They are my children's book," his mother said, following her gaze, "Venu's and this Velayuddin's. You would not believe it, but this son of mine was normal once. He was first in his class in the second standard. Of course, that was before he fell ill. In those days, there was no medicine for typhoid. The delirium lasted too long. That was how he became what he is now. Everybody used to admire his smartness and his looks. He was fat and fair. His hair was curly just like his father's. And now, see what has happened to his looks. Thin and dark, like a piece of firewood." Velayuddin laughed at the comparison, envying his mother's smart way of talking. If only he could talk like her, he would get visitors too, and maybe friends. "I do not see anything abnormal about your son," said the lady, looking at him. Her eyes lined with kohl. There was a red dot on her forehead which fascinated Velayuddin. It was a perfect circle. She could not have applied the dye with her fingertips. He had seen their maid servant dress her forehead with the sindoor applied with a spatula fingertip. She used to wash her face before returning home every evening, and she would thrust a flower or two into her hair while passing through the garden. But that was long time ago, before the bad phase, before the fall from the staircase that made her a lifeless doll with a bleeding head. When the police came, he was sent into the dark attic to hide. "Do not open your mouth," his mother had said, giving him some bananas to eat. "Remain there till they go away, otherwise they will take you to jail and beat you with their lathis." That was a long time ago. He had almost forgotten the girl's pretty face and the way she used to let him caress her breast when they were behind the cattle shed. "You know well why I have come here," said the lady. "If you are interested in selling the shares, sell them to me. My family owns nearly half of the existing equity shares. If we get 100 more, we get the control of company. You have no such ambition. I could give you a neat lakh or two which you can put in the bank." "Oh, we don't need the money," said Velayuddin's mother. "We have enough money in the bank for our needs." Velayuddin's bosom swelled with pride. His mother was behaving like a thoroughbred. She was determined to hide their abject poverty. Even an offer of 2 lakhs was being spurned. He laughed, covering his mouth. The visitor went pale. She wrung her hands in an unfamiliar gesture. Velayuddin laughed again. I know how sentimental you are about the shares, said the lady. After all, you got them from your husband who gave his life to the company, working night and day. But you preserve the papers just as you preserve all his possessions, his reading glasses, his sandals, his medicine bottles? Velayuddin's mother nodded. The visitor had seen the mementos, the sandals, the reading glasses, the medicine bottles. Velayuddha, cried the old lady, please bring a tender coconut for our guest. This summer is the hottest I have ever known. You must be dying of thirst. Oh, please don't trouble yourself, said the visitor. I have my tea already. We do not take tea, said Velayuddin's mother. We drink only buttermilk. If you want some buttermilk, my son will get you a tumbler. Velayuddin rose from the seat with alacrity. He was beginning to like the visitor. He liked the way she glanced at him secretly from the corner of her large eyes. Perhaps she was getting attracted to him? Like the maidservant who had allowed him to touch her breast? Yes, this one had lovely breasts too, like watermelons tucked into her silk blouse. Perhaps one day she would. Velayuddha, don't stand staring at our visitor, cried his old mother. Bring her a tender coconut and a few plantains. Velayuddin forced himself to leave the room. He was getting irritated with his mother. Was the old woman growing jealous of their pretty visitor? She did not want him to make a good impression on the lady. He sliced off the top of a tender coconut and emptied it into a glass. Then he took a small sip. He felt a delicious churning within his abdomen when he thought of the lady's lips touching the spot that held the imprint of his lips. When she drinks from the glass, she would, in some mystic way, become his bride. When he neared the door, he heard the lady say, with the money he could open a grocery shop right here in your compound. There's no such store anywhere near this place. He would then feel better with something to do. A man needs to feel that he is the breadwinner. He does not need a shop. He has plenty of money in the bank, said the old mother. Why should he work when he is so rich? You may be right, agreed the visitor. She did not look happy sitting there with her chin cupped in her frail fingers. Velayuddin wanted to rush towards her, take her in his arms. After all, they were meant to meet, meant to love. Otherwise, fate would not have sent her to his house in the afternoon when even the trees were enjoying their siesta. The flowers on the hedges were asleep too. This is good, said the visitor, sipping the buttermilk. Her eyes smiling above the rim met his in an embrace. Velayuddin blushed. He sat down on the floor and hugged his knees. Velayuddin, don't sit on the cold floor, cried his mother. You will get your arthritic pains again. Oh, you must keep quiet, Amma, he said. You must not order me around the whole day as though I am your only child. I am 48 this year. Have you forgotten my age, Amma? You are acting very foolish today, said the old woman, rising from her seat. You must leave this room at once. Go upstairs to your room and lie down. This lady wants to discuss something very important with me. We do not want you to hear our talk. No, I shall remain here, said Velayuddin. I am not a child. Let him remain, said the visitor. After all, there is nothing secret about my offer. He has every right to hear. After your time is over, he is the one who will inherit the shares. He might decide to sell them to me. Velayuddin's mother shook her head. No. This is not likely to happen, she said. Velayuddin will not sell his father's shares. In fact, he will not sell anything that once belonged to his father. I get offers for this house, my estate, my rice field, but I refuse to sell. Why should we sell them? We are rich. If we are rich, where is the money? Asked Velayuddin. I do not get any money from you except for a haircut once a month. What are you doing with the money? He knew that he was annoying his mother, but he was all of a sudden so ashamed of his mother's habit of telling lies that he wanted to expose her to the visitor. What was the use of bragging of wealth when the sofa was torn, the cushions torn, the dhoti torn? Velayuddha, go upstairs to your room this minute, cried his mother, pushing him away. The police van is on its way. I can hear its rumble. Velayudhan scrambled out of the room and panted up the stairs. Inside the little room, he felt safe. Blood thumped in his ears. He shut his eyes with his work-worn hands. "No, I did not kill her," he shouted. "She slipped on the banana peel and fell down the stairs. I did not kill her. I only watched her fall. Oh God, I did not kill her." From within the sitting room, the visitor heard his shouts and felt uneasy. "I must go," she said. "If you're not thinking of selling the shares, why should I waste your time?" "You must try to understand," said the old woman. "They were brought by my dear husband. I cannot ever sell any of his belongings. He wanted Velayudhan to become a director of the company. Or Venu. Venu was crushed by the school bus, so he cannot ever become a director of the company. And Velayudhan, he is not well now. Perhaps when he gets better, he could become a director. I hope you will try to understand." "I understand," said the visitor softly. From his room upstairs, Velayudhan shouted out once more, "I did not kill her." When the visitor got into her maroon car, the old lady said, "Of course your offer was not a bad one. 2 lakhs is a lot of money. But when my son gets well, he will want the shares to become a director." The visitor nodded, starting the car. "Yes, he will become a director one day. Why not?" So dear friends, this is the end of the story. Please stay tuned for another story. Do like, share and subscribe the channel.